Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horse's Mouth Live, the Extraordinary Advisor Show. My name is Ellen Rogan, and as always, I have great guests to share really valuable information with you to help you in every area of your life, especially your business. And I'm really excited to have Sherry Greco-Rikes with us today. I've known Sherry for many years. We won't actually say how many. It's been a long time. And the way that spurred this invitation to be on our show is I saw that Sherry came out with a new book. And I thought, oh, how great. I've been on her mailing list and know she has blogs all the time. And I wanted her to come on to talk not only about her process, which I think is unique and was newer to her business in the last several years, but also about the book writing process, because I know many of you out there have a book in you and you've been thinking about it, but you just haven't gotten it out there yet. And hopefully Sherry will give us some ideas about how to do that. So a little bit about Sherry's formal background. Sherry Greco-Rikes is the co-founder and principal, and I love this, chief visionary officer of Rappaport Rikes Capital Management. They're an SEC registered RIA. In the Chicago area. They formed in 2005, but Sherry was in the business before that as well. And she's the chief architect of the firm's Maximize Your Return on Life solution, which aligns clients' financial planning goals with their core values. And she brings more than 30 years in wealth management to this process with her clients. She's been all over the media, recognized by a lot of sources, and is also very involved in the philanthropic community in the Chicago area. Sherry, welcome. I'm so glad to have you
Thanks,
with us
Ellen,
today.
from Highland Park High School to this, huh?
Right, go HPHS.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sherry, tell us a little bit about your background and your journey, and particularly how things have adjusted in the last 3 years based on some of the things you've been doing with your clients around values.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a banking family. My dad in the early 60s started the Bank of Highwood. So I learned about budgeting and money at a very, very early age. In fact, when I was in high school, I used to work at the bank. And even back then, I kind of saw the stress on people's faces when they came in for loans and they wanted to pay for college for their kids. And I was in high school myself, but you could still see how money was stressful. Fast forward, I went to Illinois, majored in accounting. My dad said, major in accounting because that background will help you in banking or accounting or whatever you want to do. Went to Arthur Andersen, audited banks, went to our family bank group that was 2 banks at the time. We grew to 5 banks. And eventually we sold to First Colonial, who sold to First Star, who sold to Star Bank, who sold to US Bank. So those in the banking business know all these mergers. But I ultimately became the president of private banking. My dad was president emeritus, so we still work together. And, when I looked for a career, I love numbers, I love people, I love helping people. So being a financial advisor, I think, was my calling from day one. And I love everything about it. So, we started back in the day, Ellen, when we used to do financial planning with Excel spreadsheets. And now we've got Monte Carlo simulation, a lot more sophisticated planning. And about 4 years ago, we used Dimensional Fund Advisors. I was invited to a conference, a women leadership conference, and there were all these different courses you could go to, sessions, and one of them was your values. And I thought, well, I know my values. I know everything about it. I went to the session and they had candles and we did a little meditation and they wanted us to take a breath and they gave us a list of 100 values and wanted us to come down to 5. And I was in the process of running the capital campaign for my synagogue, spending a lot of time. And when I looked at the values, I realized giving back and community were 2 of my very strong values, and it kind of answered questions on why I did the things I did. And I said, how could I use these values and incorporate it with my clients, and not only with their money, but with their time? So many clients spend so much time, with their money, but how could I incorporate the values? So that's where Maximizing Your Return on Life was born. And that's how it started.
So give us a little overview on what the process is that you take people through and why it's been so helpful for your clients and then also in turn your business.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of laugh because when I start talking to clients, I had one couple that said they spent more time picking the color of their car than they ever did discussing their values. And, there is a lot of stress, and I'm sure you've seen it too with clients when values don't connect. And so we have a 5-prong approach. It's called maximizing your return on life solution. The first is you can't even begin the process till you help get these clients organized. So I call it like the magic shopping bag. They bring in all of their information, all their insurance, all their assets, just give us everything. And we're going to help you clarify and organize it. And, we usually find that there's one spouse that's in control of everything and the other one really doesn't have a handle. So the first thing is we want to open the eyes and make sure that they understand where they're at. The second part is really figuring out their values. And I've got worksheets and things that we work with. Some of them is on my website. There's a blog on your values, your shopping cart. And I kind of start the whole thought process. What's it like to go grocery shopping without a list? You buy wasabi chips, you buy things you don't need, you forget the butter, you forget the cheese, but you didn't have a list and you start to panic and you're buying that candy bar on your way out. And life is kind of like that. If you don't have your list of values to guide you, it can often be like that shopping cart experience. So we articulate the values, then we implement the investment strategy. We happen to use passive or index strategies, but I know a lot of your listeners have their own strategy. And then we build the full, 30-page financial plan. And when we meet with clients, we don't just say, here's your assets, here's your liabilities, here's your expenses. We talk about things what are your fears? Are you fear of getting sick? Are you fear of having to leave a legacy for your children? What keeps you up at night? Do you want to fully retire? We're finding that retirement isn't linear. Sometimes people want to have a next chapter, but they're not going to make as much money. So how can they supplement that? I had a client, we did a financial plan for this couple. And after we did the values, flexibility was one of their values, but they own 3 homes. They're working 60, 70 hours a week. She always wanted creativity was another value. She loved writing. By the time we did the plan, we modeled what if they got rid of 2 of the homes, rented in California instead of owning. She went 30 hours a week instead of 60, took a writing course, took some classes, and I've never seen them happier. So when you start with the values, and you have to share these values, because if someone values status and wants to live in a huge home and the other doesn't want to work that much, then there's a problem. And what's most important with the clients is I want them to look at their own values, not society's values. And too often we get swayed by what we think society or what's important. And then the final prong is you can do all this work with the values and the planning and getting organized, but we continually monitor and update because life changes. You may love your job and wake up one day and say, I want to make a change. I had another client that wanted, they've worked since they were 16. They took 6 months off and went around the world with a backpack, but we planned for it. We made sure there was money. We made sure they were able to take leaves from their jobs, and all that goes into the values. So that's kind of the process in about 5 minutes, but it's a lifetime.
Yeah. What I love about that is that it's really client driven. One of the things that frustrates me a little bit, I'm a big believer in the planning process, frustrates me a little bit about the CFP process, which is better than not having that, is that it's like the advisor tells people what their goals are supposed to be. Well, when do you want to send your kids to college? When do you want to retire? And there's no real creativity in that or motivation for the client to really want to do that unless that's kind of their MO, that they're super responsible. So this idea of really looking at what's important to them, I think is so beautiful. Do you ever
can I just add, I ask a question, and I'm sure a lot of advisors listening, you'll have a couple or you'll have someone with a significant other, and there's always one that's talking and one that's listening and one that really didn't want to be there. But I asked this question, and I mean, people will take this and talk about it. And I said, if you knew you had 10 years to live and they would be good years and you would be healthy, what's 2 or 3 things that you've always wanted to do that you can plan for in the next 10 years? And we want to make that happen for our clients. And it's sometimes they don't know the answer and they think about it and they call me back. I had one client spent their whole Valentine's Day weekend talking about it. And then I also ask, are there any regrets? Is there something that you didn't do in your life that you'd like to change and you'd like to do now? And those thought-provoking questions really get everyone excited and a lot of discussion.
Imagine this really sets you apart from the other people that are just talking about rates of return or their asset allocation process. And and I think even going forward, it's important now and makes money meaningful. But I think where the industry is going, if you don't have meaningful conversations, whatever that looks like, you're going to be left behind. Have you found that it was a big differentiator for you?
And I find that sometimes, the first time you bring it up, they're not as open, but over time, and it's kind of cute because we call it investing in your values. And I had a client that loves to cook but hates to prep, and she just couldn't get over paying $3 for chopped up onions when you could pay 50 cents for an onion. And she just decided that her time was more important. She was going to buy the stuff prepped. And I get these emails all the time. Sherry, I invested in my values today. I bought the chopped onions. Or I had a client that used to sleep on the couch with her daughter and her son-in-law when she would visit. And I'm like, you can afford a hotel. Go get the hotel. And she says, oh, it's changed our relationship. I invested in my values. So it's been kind of a fun transformation with the clients, because it's not, of course we manage money. Of course we want to make sure that they're getting the returns of the market. We do it through index, and we want to make sure they're organized and they have the right insurance and the right disability and have money for college and money for the retirement. And we run the Monte Carlo and the planning. But that's all the hard side. It's the soft side that really, those plans don't work if they're not really taking into account the values and what's most important. And another quote, my dad, he had passed away, but he used to always say, you can have anything you want, not everything. So pick what's most important. And my clients repeat that back to me because I've said that from day one. And I mean, you probably know, Ellen, a lot of clients feel guilty about spending. They've made money. And so I kind of say, answer these questions. Does what you want to spend, you want to take the family on an African safari? Well, does it fit within your values? Does it fit within your budget? Is it something that you're going to enjoy? If the answer is yes, 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 do it. Now, if it doesn't fit in your budget, then maybe going to Africa means you're going to drive your car 4 years more, or you're going to mow your own lawn, or whatever it is. But pick what's most important and don't feel guilty. Enjoy it. And I think that message has just made my clients smile ear to ear sometimes.
And it's such a positive message, Sherry, because we know the industry can be really negative, talking about like how scary the returns are, about how people aren't set for retirement and making people feel bad about things. So really, really love this process. I'm curious. I know you've been writing blogs for quite a while, and I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about your book. Like, what motivated you, or why did you want to get a book out there with this information?
Yeah, well, it started after I went to this conference. I came back and, we've all written blogs, and I decided I was going to start a blog called Maximizing Your Return on Life. And it really took off. You can subscribe to it on my website, which you'll get later. And I found these lifestyle blogs and mirroring the values with the finances people really, really enjoyed. And so, just a couple of the favorite blogs. One was I did a letter to Leah, my 10 steps for the college, my 10 advice for the college graduate. And that kind of went viral. I mean, people were sending that all over. In fact, we turned it into a webinar. I had another one on give yourself the gift of airplane mode, and about how I went on a 3-day hike and was disconnected. And I had people emailing me, boy, I wish I would have done that one time in my career. I think my family would have loved it. And then my latest one that really got a lot of comments was tiers and target date funds. When my daughter started her job, she never asked me anything, but she asked my husband and I have to pick my 401k selection. And we said, pick the target date 2060. And she goes, oh, that's great. That sounds great. Does that mean I'm going to earn 60%? I go, no, that's the year that you're going to retire. And she just said, no, 40 years. So it was tiers and target date funds. But I hope with the blog that there's a message and people will take things away. So after I had the blog for so long, and I've been dealing this process with our clients, I said, how can we reach more people? How can I change a few more lives with the process? And I've always wanted to write a book. And it wasn't as hard as I thought. I mean, once I had several of the blogs, which are on the book, and I broke it down into different sections, and I could talk you through, found a publisher, which today is a lot different than years ago. I have a hybrid publisher. It was self-published. I found someone to do some of the sketches and pictures for me. Through the publisher, there's 2 edits: substantive edit, where you want someone to make sure, because we're coming from a finance background. I love the fact that I had someone that did not have a finance background reading it to me. And so often she would say, I'd say something like, make sure you take advantage of the match with your 401k. And she'd say, well, what's a match? And I'd expand how companies often will give you a certain percentage towards that. And so, I expanded on things I never thought I had to. And then at the end, I had a copy edit to make sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. So, it took a while because, I'm running a firm, I have clients, so this wasn't a full-time job to write. So it took about 18 months to 2 years, but I just, enjoyed the process. And I, wake up in the middle of the night and think of another chapter and I'd write about it. And I really wanted the book to have exercises and not be boring. I wanted it to be kind of book you could read a chapter, put it down. There's no plot. You can just kind of pick and choose, and that was it.
Yeah. And it's light, and I don't mean light like not substantive.
Right.
I mean, there's humor in the book, and it's easy to, find the parts that would be interesting to you. And I think it's great that you wrote something that isn't super, what's the word? Technically.
Technical, yeah.
Yeah. Like there's plenty of books out there like that. Right.
That
I
was my
know.
goal.
And you're offering new information. I know that was super important with the books that I wrote. Like, okay, why do we need another personal finance book?
Right.
So, what I didn't hear you say, which is smart for a book author, is, I want to make a lot of money writing a book.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, unless you're a celebrity or gets kind of lucky, that is not a good reason to write a book. What have been some of the business benefits of having this book, and how are you leveraging the fact you have it now?
Yeah. So the book came out. I did hire a PR firm. So it's been that whole world has just been so interesting to me. So, I've been on Business Insider. I was on New York Today, TV Cast, Parade Magazine, Simple Online, CNBC twice, which was really interesting because I'll tell you a moment of an opportunity that came up that really aligns with my core values. But initially, I just wanted to get the book in the hands of all my clients. So we wrote, even if I wasn't the main lead advisor on the client, we wrote personal notes to each client. We sent the book out and got so much feedback. A lot of them ended up, buying it for their kids or grandkids. I had, an 85-year-old almost in tears saying, boy, I wish I would have read this book, 50 years ago and really used my values. I was on such a train to make more money and never took a breath. So we've done that, through Facebook, through social media, we publicized it. But like you said, the goal of course, I've sold some books, which has been great, but it's really more to get in the hands of people. So I hope I can change some lives. And, in our business, the last person seen is sometimes the next person getting the business. So if this could be a little different, not everyone, this isn't going to, make everyone feel good about it, but hopefully a few people in our business, we don't need that many clients. And the fact that I love is clients that really are attracted to the book are the kind of clients that are my ideal client. They're the clients that want to work with me and work with our firm this way. And so it just makes it a win-win all around. And it's just been fun. Today, I sent a book to a friend. He posted it on LinkedIn. Other people liked it. And I've been in this business a long time. I think I'll look back and really think this has been one of the highlights of having the book. We had a wedding this weekend. One of my daughter's best friends got married, and there was a rehearsal dinner, and it started raining. So some people went in, of course, with masks. And my friend had the book on her coffee table, and someone didn't even know I was the author, who I didn't even know at the wedding, said, "Oh my God, that book looks so interesting. Where did you get it?" And she said, "Well, the author's right here." And like, I've been my whole life a financial advisor. I've never been an author. So it's been kind of fun.
Well, and I read in your bio that you're now a triathlete. So yay,
Yes.
good for that. You can add
That
that to
was,
your identities.
Actually, in the book, that was a value to get in shape and community. And I challenge all the readers of the book to do one thing, because we can't do 10 things. And my one thing was to train for a triathlon. I did not set any records, but I finished. And
That's
I
huge.
finished before the photographer left. That was the goal. Because one time I did a half marathon and I finished after the photographer was there. So that was my one goal. And I challenge it. And when I do these maximize your return on life small group seminars, and I have them write the one thing that they're going to do, and they give it to me, and I mail it back 6 months
Nice.
later, and we see if they're going to do it. So
Nice. Yeah, that accountability and that different conversation. And I really appreciate the way that you also said, like, this is actually, and I mean this in the best way, like a screening tool for you to attract your most ideal clients.
right.
Because if someone's just looking for maximizing their return on their portfolio, not that you don't do a great job at that,
Right.
if that's all they care about, there's lots of places they could go
But
for
everyone,
that.
a lot of people do that.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a losing game in the industry
Yeah.
going forward, if that's all you're focusing on.
Yeah, during COVID, I actually was so intrigued by this whole, investor behavior that I actually got my certification in applied behavioral finance. And it's just so interesting how people just take mental shortcuts all the way. And the first day of the class, there was a question they asked. I'll do this really quickly. But if a bat and a ball cost $1.10, so your bat and the ball cost $1.10, and the bat is $1 more than the ball, how much is the ball? And 9 out of 10 people say 10 cents. And that's not correct, because they do mental shortcuts. It's 5 cents. So the bat and the bat is $1, the ball is 5 cents, and then so that's $1.05, and the ball is 5 cents, so that's $1.10. But these mental shortcuts are really what the next generation is using with the crypto and the FANG, and they're not really taking the breath. And with technology, you can do a trade with no costs with a button. And so this investor behavior has been really interesting, and why people get stressed about money and why people do the things they do, I think is just really the next level that I'm going to bring to my clients. But I think our industry really needs to take that to the next level.
Yeah, it's fascinating. When I was in college, I was an econ major. And what they taught us back then was that money is a medium of exchange and people are rational decision makers, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing that always it fascinated me and still informs the work that I do, is around how people feel about their money and how they make decisions,
Right.
and how you could have someone with tons of money and they are self-impoverishing because
Right.
they're not willing to spend money, like you encourage people with their values, or they just so worry that they're not going to have enough, even though they have
Right.
plenty. And so I think it's a really important discussion to make money work in way better ways for people than it currently does. So I love that.
And that's with the value process, I lay it all on the table. So you want to leave a legacy to your family. What's that dollar amount? You want to have a second home. What's that dollar amount? You want to leave a legacy to charity. What's that dollar amount? And if we can quantify all that and run through our modeling and run through the Monte Carlo, which is a statistical analysis, and then even stress test it in down markets, it should give the clients peace of mind and let them enjoy their values. Let them give the money to the charities that they love. Let them give the money to their children. Buy that second home. But if the results aren't there, then you have to decide what's most important. And if you just, run these plans, how much do you want to spend without talking through the spending? I don't think you get the full value of the plan.
And I also don't think it gives them comfort.
No.
Because you could run projections and go, you're fine.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they're still gonna feel fine or do those things that would make sense. I remember when I had my practice, I had a client single guy, and he was like meh on his job. He didn't really love it. The projection said he had to keep working, and died at like 58 of a heart attack, just died, no heirs, like nieces and nephews. And it was such a wake up call for me to say, wow, yes, people don't want to be, 98 living in their kid's basement. But on the other hand, there's this balance here. None of us really know, how long we're going to live or what
Right.
life brings. So to be able to have those discussions is really meaningful and important for people. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're having those, Sherry. Okay. Any last thought about it for advisors out there that are thinking about, they've got this idea or a message that they want to get out more? Any suggestions or words of advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, if you can, start a blog, but do it on your passion. Don't write a blog because you think you need to do a technical blog. And like you said, it's what kind of clients, who's your ideal client? So maybe have your blog, relate to those individuals, because those are the people that are going to really like the blog. I mean, I have the same, 30, 40 people that always comment on things, and I know that they look forward to it. So that gives me a lot of joy. And it's not that hard. They don't have to be long. Make sure, I've been very fortunate. My partner, Dave Rappaport, is an excellent partner and editor, and, always have two eyes on it. And he has just really supported the book, supported the blog, and he always comes up with these funny insights and things that just make the blogs better. So, have a partner that you can work with, and just, come up with a name and start the blog. And if a book idea comes, don't be intimidated. As you said, Ellen, we're not going to be in the top 100 list. We're going to have a book, and it's just going to be something to talk with your clients about. In fact, when we meet with our clients, we say, if there's someone that you think would like the book, let me know. I'll send them a copy. And so the book leads to something. And I just want to really mention really quickly, one of the, I think it was the executive director of Jumpstart.org, which is a financial literacy organization. They have a conference in Washington, D.C., where they bring 400 to 500 teachers to teach them financial literacy. He read one of the articles, and I'm going to be going to Washington to speak at their conference. And again, it hits all my values of giving back, financial literacy. And, I've been on a personal mission as long as I can remember to educate people, especially women, because 80% of women will be in charge of their finances. And I really, have been on a mission to educate. But I think this next generation, if we can get education in the high schools and they can start learning some of these things with their values and budgeting. And the one thing I want to say on every podcast I'm on, every webinar, is the key to financial happiness is to live within your means. And I try to talk to my clients all the time. I think as advisors, the clients that are under the most stress are the ones that never live within their means. So if we can get a generation to do that, we've done our job.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Sherry, so much. And if people want to find your book, they can go to Amazon. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's Maximize Your Return on Life. So go there. And if they want to find out more about you and your work, speaking, whatever it is, where should they go?
SherryGrecoRikis.com. Real
Perfect.
original there, but so.
Perfect.
Or you can go to rrcapital.com. We've got two websites. That's our firm names. So
yes, good. It's good thought leadership to have your
right.
name.com.
And that's the last advice. This is a great profession. Enjoy it. And if blogs is going to bring you joy, do it. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's a YouTube. maybe it's just meeting with your clients, but we have one life. So enjoy this profession and do what's going to make you happy.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sherry.
Thank you, Ellen. I really enjoyed it. It's so fun to be with you after all these years. So.
Yes. And thank all of
great.
you for watching and listening to the Extraordinary Advisor Show. Again, my name is Ellen Rogan. And a lot of the topics that Sherry's talking about are things that I love exploring with financial advisors to help you grow your impact, influence, and income. So if you go to ellenrogan.com/horse's mouth, you can download my special report, What Extraordinary Advisors Know That Others Don't. And I think it's valuable information about making sure you're going to be set for what's ahead. And remember, the question to ponder today is, how big of a positive impact are you willing to make? And please remember to be great and create great every single day.